Welcome to Coffee Break with Rachel Vigil, taking a daily look at the biggest stories in Denver sports and interacting live with you, the Coffee Break fam. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of joe, and enjoy your coffee break. Here's your host, Rachel Vigil.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. The Broncos play in exactly one day, but first of all, we have to talk about the breaking news that comes with the Los Angeles Chargers. They fire their head coach and GM. Cecil, this is not surprising. They lost 63-21 last night. 2 of those touchdowns coming in like the very last couple of minutes of the game, essentially. This isn't surprising, though.
No, not as surprising. Should have happened a while ago, and I'm actually really shocked the Spanos family did that, but after getting embarrassed on a national stage like that, I'm sure they did. I mean, I just did 2 hours on Schlereth and Evans. I was like, is Brandon Staley fired yet? Well, he is now, right at the end of the show. And again, we're not rooting for anyone to lose their job, but he clearly was in over his head, clearly didn't get as much out of this team who had that miraculous playoff win last year over Jacksonville. It's how quick things change. And when you don't get it done, you get embarrassed like that, you get replaced. Tom Telesco gone as well. I hope that Kevin Kelly is not gone. I've often said Kevin Kelly, who was Walter Payton's best friend, by the way. And he's good friends with one of my best friends, Russ Landy. But I hope Kevin Kelly stays because he's a really good personnel guy. So these type of moves happen, Rachel, and I'm thinking of my friends in the business. I'm like, oh, I hope they keep their jobs. Except Brandon Staley, he was awful.
Yeah, and they were bad, and like they haven't made the playoffs since 2019, or haven't won the AFC West since 2009. Excuse me. They've had 3 coaching changes since 2016. Like there has to be something that's changing, and I feel like they kind of looked at Justin Herbert as this like, oh, he's going to come in and save the day, and he hasn't done that. But at the exact same time, I don't think he's been utilized to his full potential.
Right, he has not, and that's why the next head coaching hire, which could be Bill Belichick,
I think it's going to Cecil.
And here's the thing. I debuted this on Mike Evans because he was walking right into it. He didn't even know, Rachel. And then I set up Mike Evans. Josh McDaniels will be his offensive coordinator. So if you say Bill Belichick knew how to step out of the way of a high-powered offense with Tom Brady, that's all true. Most of that happened with Josh McDaniels. So, and, McDaniels could sit back and do nothing and collect a check, or he could join Bill on his new venture with a new version of Tom Brady. Justin Herbert's not Tom Brady, but he's a superstar, and he's really good. So we could see Andy Reid, Sean Payton, and Bill Belichick with Josh McDaniels as his OC.
Oh my gosh. Could you imagine? The AFC West would just be loaded with head coaches. Because, I mean, all the rumors, everything is pointing to Bill Belichick being out for the Patriots, of course. And this would be like the best place, I guess, for Bill Belichick to land. I would be shocked if he was just completely done coaching. But really, Josh McDaniels all of a sudden just heading a few states to the west. That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. What's better than beating up on Josh McDaniels? And the Broncos never beat the Josh McDaniels Raiders.
True.
But they did handle Bill Belichick. The Broncos, whether it was in the Mike Shanahan days or in the Peyton Manning days, like the Broncos handled their business against Tom Brady and the Patriots. So, yeah, I'd love to see it. You always want competition. Nobody wants to beat up against a bunch of slappies and like, hey, we made the playoffs only because you played nobody. No, play in the AFC West. Play against Pat Mahomes. Play against Justin Herbert. Play against the best. Beat the best and make it.
Well, and that makes you feel a little bit more confident, right? Like that's been one of my things with this Denver Bronco team, Cecil, is like they're essentially beating backup quarterbacks. Or, everyone says Patrick Mahomes had the flu, so he wasn't fully healthy, even though that team is going through their struggles too. But like I want the Broncos to be able to go into the playoffs and be like, yeah, we beat some solid teams, but it doesn't really look like that's going to happen besides Detroit this week. Like we're looking at backups upon backups.
Yeah, and the nice thing is, though, they are getting it done. They beat the Buffalo Bills, right? Because I could easily point to the Miami Dolphins and say, who have they beaten? Nobody. What is it? 1 or 2 opponents over 500. So you get them when you get them, and flu or no flu or whatever. All I know is Michael Jordan had the flu, and it was one of the greatest games in NBA history. So yeah, Mahomes had a boo-boo or the flu, or Travis Kelce was off, or like, I don't care. Beat you down, beat them down, beat you down. That's what the Broncos should be thinking. And rolling into this postseason, that's why I call them true contenders. Like, other than Baltimore, there's really no one in the AFC that they couldn't beat and really have a good chance of beating them, mainly because of Sean Payton.
Well, let's go back to Brandon Staley real quick. Everybody kind of thought that this was going to possibly happen after the Broncos beat them last week, but because the game was on Thursday night, it kind of just felt like, oh, you got to keep him because you've got such a short week. So it's not surprising at all that this news is also coming.
Yeah, not surprising that this news is coming. And then you just look forward and say, okay, what are they going to do next? They have a history of choking. Will they get someone in that doesn't?
Chargers going to charge her.
Yes, Chargers are going to charge her unless they get a Bill Belichick, something like that. So, that's for the future. Right now, you see an opportunity with the Denver Broncos. You just roll, man. Roll into the postseason. This is your toughest of your remaining opponents. And yes, it will have a playoff feel and a playoff atmosphere, but there's a way to turn the home field advantage into a home field disadvantage for the Lions.
Okay, hit me with it. Let's hear it.
Well, it's pressure. The Denver Broncos, again, people always look at sacks, right? Sacks are the sexy stat. What matters is disrupted dropback. So the disrupted dropback rate for the Broncos is among the best in the NFL. It means you're uncomfortable as a quarterback. Either you move off your spot, or there's a batted pass, that's a disrupted dropback, or there's a quarterback hit, that's a disrupted dropback. So it's kind of a collection of everything, and that's what you really need to look at. Jared Goff, who can turn the ball over, you can get to him. That team averages about 31 points at home, but that's also a team with a fan base that feels like the shoe's about ready to drop. Next shoe, the other shoe's ready to drop, whatever the saying is, like they're waiting for it. So all you have to do is create pressure, and it's very tough. So I say it simply, but create pressure, make Jared Goff make mistakes, which he can and he will. And then that home crowd is like, here we go again. Goff throws a pick six. Here we go again. Now, all of a sudden, they're not into it, and the Broncos can feast off that. They still believe, even though they're the hottest team in the league, they still believe nobody believes in them, and I'm fine with that. Ride that all the way as far as you can.
For sure. I've been talking to a bunch of my friends, too, and I'm just like, I don't want the national media to be talking about the Denver Broncos, because if they're not talking about the Broncos, then they can slide underneath the radar and still be good. But the second everyone's talking about you and being like, oh, this is such a hot team, that's when it seems like, oh, things are getting a little bit, there's a little bit more pressure added to you each and every week.
Right. And the Broncos are capable of that pressure. And I've often said it, like that locker room felt the same at 1-5 as they do at 7-6. You go in there, it's just workmanlike, lunch pail, hard hat, let's get to work. And they haven't proven anything because they haven't. And that Miami game, which could have crushed lesser souls, like easily could have crushed lesser teams, I synced it. That Miami game resonates with Vance Joseph. Pretty much brought it up at his little conference off to the little scrum off to the side with him yesterday. Like, he pretty much brought up the Miami game. That still lingers with them, and use it as motivation. You were historically embarrassed. Go win as much as you can afterwards.
For sure. Okay, so we talk so much about the defense because it seems like that's, the foundation of this team right now. Whatever we get from the offense, we're like, oh, that's like the cherry on top kind of thing. What should be the offensive game plan against the Lions?
Yeah, the offensive game plan against the Lions is going to have to include more Jerry Jeudy. You're not going to be able to sit on a ball like a hen sitting on an egg, right? Like, you just can't sit there and just wait, and we'll play ball control. No, you are going to have to use Jerry Jeudy. You're going to have to open it up. And whether that's Lucas Kroll, because it's not Greg Dulcich, but it's going to include people not named Courtland Sutton. The Lions defense is awful. You're playing an awful defense. Yes, they have Hutchinson, who is an incredible pass rusher. You know how to deal with that, right? I think the Will Anderson thing against the Texans maybe surprised some. I don't know why it would. He's number 3 overall pick. He's a really good rusher. But either way, took care of business against Khalil Mack. Now it's time for Hutchinson. Take care of business against him. Attack that secondary. And that means Jerry Jeudy. 100-yard game for Jerry Jeudy wouldn't surprise me.
Oh, Cecil, it stresses me out though. But honestly, I think last week was a good slap in the face to Jerry Jeudy of like, I could have had 2 incredible highlight reel, situations with that touchdown and with the catch that went straight between his hands, but I didn't follow through and I didn't, perfect just the small details when it came to that. And I think it was a bit of a slap in the face, and he took accountability in the locker room. But is that enough? Have we seen this Jerry Jeudy before, or is this a new side of Jerry Jeudy that we're seeing?
It's a new side, honestly. There's a lot of misconceptions about Jerry Jeudy. I'll clean them up as best I can, and you can believe it or you cannot believe it. As I often say, the truth seems belligerent to those who don't believe, but it's still the truth. The truth is Jerry Jeudy's grown up. We saw that answer he gave to Andrew Mason as Mace pushed him on those catches, and he kept pulling the thumb. He wasn't pointing the finger. Hey, Russ could have put that in a better spot. Hey, Russ, Russ got to throw to me more, and then we'd have better chemistry. That's what people think Jerry Jeudy would say. And maybe he thinks that privately. I don't know. All I know is I'm around him multiple days a week, and I've never gotten that vibe from him this year. Even when things were down, Jerry Jeudy wasn't the malcontent that everyone thinks he is. So Jerry Jeudy kind of owning up, it's on me. I got to focus better. I've got to finish was the specific quote that he said, and he finished that answer with, I've just got to finish. So that's on him. And he knows, he realizes, and it comes down to this coaching staff who still loves him. So we all may have given up on Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy has not given up on himself, because who's the best receiver in the league? Ask Jerry Jeudy. It's going to be Jerry Jeudy. That's fine. The coaching staff, Sean Payton loves him. He loves him. He almost, father, son, hand over the shoulder, arm over the shoulder. Like, you see multiple teaching moments during the week of practice with Jerry Jeudy, and you've seen it all year long. So it's a coaching staff that recognizes and realizes, and they watch the film. Jerry Judy's been getting open. For the last month, I've had no issues with Jerry Jeudy getting open. I've had issues with his drops, but that hasn't been an issue in 3 seasons. 3 seasons. He hasn't had a multi-drop game in 3 seasons. So we have to talk honestly. And what is the truth? Seek the truth and speak the truth. The truth is Jerry Judy's grown up. The truth is Jerry Jeudy hasn't produced. The opportunity will be there. Maybe this is the last time. Maybe this is Jerry Judy's last stand. We are fixing to find out.
Oh, man, it is stressful because I'm so sick of talking about just talent when it comes to Jerry Jeudy and, where he was in the draft. Like, I'm over having that conversation, and I'm ready for him to actually produce and say, oh, yeah, he is going to be a threat. Like, that conversation has changed with Courtland Sutton. I feel like we talked about it like, pre-injury for Courtland Sutton. Like, the talent was there. Feels like this season we're talking about now the production. I'm just so ready to have that conversation with Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, ready for a different conversation. And listen, you got the 5th-year option with this guy. You probably can't trade him or won't trade him. Who knows? That's the future. Right now, I know they've got the Lions in front of them, and I applaud that because I don't want to. Should they trade you? Okay, you're not going to get anything for Jerry Jeudy, okay? What were they offered? A 3rd and a 5th?
Yep.
Okay, there's your starting price for Jerry Jeudy. Oh, we got a 2nd, everybody. No one should be happy about that. The best thing for the Broncos is Jerry Jeudy working out. Maybe never to be the Justin Jefferson-like prospect that he could have been and should have been. Maybe never that. But this team, on one of the most conservative offenses in the league, they need a number 2. Yeah. Jerry Judy's got to be that guy.
So badly. What if you're Detroit? How are you looking at Russell Wilson? Are you sending a full pressure package at him every single time, or how are you adjusting to that?
Yeah, I mean, with Russell Wilson, you almost let the pressure get to himself, right? That's the thing. And Detroit's defense is so bad. It's so bad. I'd be scared. I just said scared.
Scared. I'd be so scared.
I'm scared. You better be scared of Russell Wilson. I think the Lions, nobody fears anybody in the league. Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. But like, I think the Lions, you will have a concern with Wilson, even though the passing game has been limited. Like, this could be Russell Wilson's best day as a passer this season. It could happen this week. I feel like we say that before, but this is the actual matchup where it matches up that way because your defense is so terrible, secondary specifically. You can handle the pass rush, okay? It is a concern. I don't ever want to poo-poo something and be like, yeah, whatever, pass rush. No, you can handle the pass rush. Yeah. You can attack the secondary, and you can attack those linebackers. Anzalone's been a little bit banged up this year. So, like, I look at that situation, I go, this is an opportunity for Russ to go have 350. Jerry to have 100, Courtland to have 100. That type of day, while it may seem just completely odd, could happen.
Cecil, does Sean Payton trust Russell Wilson enough to do that, though? Because that's the conversation, obviously, and we hear all about the anonymous GMs that are always talking about like, oh, Russell Wilson probably not going to be with this team next year because not doing Sean Payton's game plan. We've had this discussion multiple times. But do you honestly believe that even if the opportunity presents itself, that Sean Payton will look at Russ and say, you know what, Russ, let's see if you can cook?
Yeah, the answer is no. Like, does he trust him fully? The answer is no. But again, it's matchup based. It's a week-to-week league.
Yeah.
And does he trust him? No, because he can't run his system. And I know people in our YouTube comments or whatever, they've been like, give me the evidence that he hasn't run this is not Sean Payton's offense. There's your evidence. I have a dozen years in New Orleans of the sale concepts, the 4 wide receivers, that sort of thing. That's your evidence. And the fact of the matter is Sean Payton's doing a great job figuring out what Russ can do and then making it work. And there were moments that Russ can still be special. You have to set up those moments against a team like Detroit. And they know the deal with the Broncos: stack the line, stuff the run, force Russ to beat you. Well, Russ can beat you in this sort of matchup. If it was a different team with a different defense and a different secondary specifically, I would say, okay, you're going to dink and dunk and win by a field goal. And it may be a tight game where you do win by a field goal or less. But the fact of the matter is it's setting up for Russell Wilson, and the horse of water, you can't make him drink. Yeah, Russell Wilson, this game plan is for you. Jerry Jeudy, this game plan is for you. This matchup is for you to shine. We just have to see if they can do it or not.
Okay, so looking at injuries too, this is always something I like to pay attention to. Oh goodness, excuse me. There's a few questionable people when it comes to the Lions. How important are these guys right here on if they don't play or if they do play?
Yeah, it's incredibly important. Of course, Taylor Decker there on their offensive line, important. Ragnow is as well. Josh Reynolds is that wide receiver, but he's like their 5th receiving option. So they got plenty of wide receivers. On the Broncos side of things, losing Nick Bonito sucks. Okay. They've been without Greg Dulcich for most of the year. They'll be without Greg Dulcich for most of the year. Whatever. The Greg Dulcich thing, that's just, find an extra, you do laundry, Rachel, and you find that $5 bill in your pocket and you're like, oh, wow, $5. I can get a Starbucks or whatever, right? That's what Greg Dulcich is. He's the $5, 20, let's say 20. He's the $20 in your pocket that you forgot you had.
Let's meet in the middle. We'll do a $10.
A $10, 10 spot. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. We'll meet in the middle there.
Maybe some egg bites and a Pike's Place. Anyway, can you tell I'm hungry? I'm not hungry, but anyway, so that's what Dulcich is. The Bonito thing is big. The Bonito thing is big. There's no way around it. You have to get after the quarterback, especially in this matchup. Again, matchup-based league. You got to get after Jared Goff. If you can do that, you will win. If you can do that, you will generate turnovers. If you can do that, it's not going to be easy. Nothing is easy, but that's the path. The easiest path to success is making Jared Goff uncomfortable. And Nick Bonito, man, hat off to him, or I guess beanie, whatever. What is this do-rag thing off? Hats off to Nick Bonito this year for everything he's been able to do. But it's missing him is going to suck. How do they replace that? We'll find out.
And same with PJ Locke. He's obviously questionable for the game tomorrow. It's so weird for us to say tomorrow because a Saturday night game. I'm like, all right, well, football's here even sooner, so let's go. But PJ Locke, because Delarian Turner-Yell has not provided his A game, let's say, when it came to the Broncos secondary a few times this season.
And who was he picked right before?
I know, Cecil. I know.
Sorry. I mean, you could have had Tariq Woolen, and you took Delarian Turner-Yell because George Payton would have had a do-over on that one. So yeah, and I believe PJ Locke's going to play. Okay. So he's questionable. He's kind of warming up to be one of my favorite Broncos. Just being around him, he's got that fire. He never, even if you ask him kind of a crossways question, and no one really does. We're all puppy dogs, myself included. But if you ask him kind of a crossways question, he'll get after you a little bit. And I like that. Hey, yeah, man, bring it back. Push it back. Give it back,
No, I love that. All right. Well, Cecil, you know what time it is?
What time is it?
It's time for Cecil's Fantasy 5 presented by Hooters. Let's get into this, Cecil. Let's just start with the Broncos matchup, right? Broncos, Lions. Are you saying start Jerry Jeudy 100% if you got him in your league?
Not 100%. I don't want to be a cop out. Nothing's 100% there, but it depends on your rest of your league. But if you need a what the heck flex is what I determine it. This is the first week of the fantasy playoffs. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of story. You ready for a story, Rachel?
I love story time.
I tell this every year. I probably told it to you already, but I'll refresh everyone because when I get to the fantasy playoffs, I have what I call a Marcy Rossman rule. Now, years ago in beautiful Grover, Colorado, I was able to take my girlfriend, Marcy Rossman, to homecoming. She wasn't from Grover. She was from Eaton. She didn't know anybody. So I get to homecoming, and my buddy, John Conley, who I think might be in jail. Anyway, he was like, hey, let's go drink beer and egg the principal's house. And me being 15, I was like, great. And so that's what we did. I left Marcy at the dance by herself where she didn't know anybody, got back to the dance, and, well, we broke up, needless to say. But I always think of that moment, and I'm still friends with Marcy to this day. But I always think of that moment. I say, dance with who brung you, right? Dance with who brung you. I should have danced that night. Didn't need to go be a hooligan, although I am a scoundrel. Like I should have danced with that young lady and should have had a great time. So in fantasy playoff time, Marcy Rossman rule, don't overthink it. Paralysis by analysis. Okay. Jerry Jeudy's a what the heck flex, but like start your studs. It's essentially a start your studs rule. Although I have a much better story with the Marcy Rossman rule, but start your studs, but make sure your studs are your studs. Because did you get here because of Jamar Chase? Yeah, you might have gotten here because of Jamar Chase, and Jake Browning's playing some better football, but you have to look at every situation and say, okay, what can you live with? Can I live with benching Jamar Chase because of matchup or Jake Browning or whatever? No, no, I can't live with that. I got to start him. Someone like Austin Eckler, though, did you get here because of Austin Eckler? Probably not. He doesn't look real good. And he's hurt, by the way. So it starts your studs. But has Austin Eckler been a stud this year? The answer is no. So he can be on your bench if you have a better matchup. So it's critical. And I can tell by my Twitter mentions and my emails, like I can tell it's fantasy playoffs because I'm getting flooded with questions and I'm here to help.
I was going to say, what's the best question you've gotten asked?
Well, I could pull up some of my questions.
I was gonna say, I'm like so intrigued by like, what are people freaking out about the most when it comes to their fantasy playoffs?
Yeah, people are freaking out about their fantasy playoffs because you have your standard, like, I know this guy's good, and then you have is he good? Rachaad White, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's the Bay of the Pigs, Battle of the Pigs, and Tampa Bay Green Bay this week. Rachaad White is my number 3 fantasy running back this week. Number 3.
Wow.
So, and I know Rachaad a little bit, so it's not because I'm friendly with him or whatever, but like, yeah. And it's not just touch based, right? Some guys that get the opportunity and well, they're going to produce because that's the only guy. Rachaad White is producing. So start your studs. I don't know. Is Rachaad White a stud? Yeah. Yeah, he is. So you get a lot of these questions because again, people are overthinking it. Don't overthink it. Fantasy playoffs. It's look at your matchup. If I'm the favorite, I'm starting my safest players because I'm the favorite. If you need everything, that's where Jerry Jeudy comes into play. Let's say you're the underdog and you snuck into your fantasy playoffs and you barely made it and you shouldn't even be here today, like Dante from Clerks. Like if that's the case, then you are starting your Jerry Jeudy's because you need everything. I need the Hail Mary. I need that perfect pass. I need something to come through. That's where those type of prospects, I call them what the heck flexes. That's where they come into play for this week. But for the most part, if you're the favorite, start your studs.
Okay. What about just sleepers, though? What if you're like, I don't have a ton of studs on my team? Who's some sleepers you can get?
Yeah, I got some sleepers for you this week, and I'll go back to the Broncos. It's on that fast track. You want to see Jaleel McLaughlin on carpet, basically? Like, that's a fast track, and that's a fast man. So, like, yes, sleepers. Again, more like what the heck flex level type of players. If we see in this Buffalo game, James Cook's going to do his thing, but Ty Johnson there behind him, if Buffalo wanted to run more, huge game against Dallas, absolutely monumental game against Dallas, the key might be running the ball more. So that's where Ty Johnson would come in. Nobody's even thinking about him because James Cook is doing so much as a receiver out of the backfield. At the wide receiver position, I look at sleepers or players that maybe that you're not expecting. I'll go back to Buffalo, Gabe Davis. If you run the ball, that sets up play action shots for Gabe Davis down the field. So that's where you're going to look. That's where you're going to go. Back to the Green Bay game, Dontavian Wicks has come through. Romeo Doubs is there. I love him. Jaden Reed is there doing good things. Jordan Love playing better football. Against Tampa Bay, it's going to be clustered to run, attack the secondary. That's where a guy like Wicks can come through. I still love Jahan Dotson from the Commanders, so I'll always throw out a shout out to him. But that's, Parker Washington from Jacksonville. We've seen him a couple of games now. Like, yeah, you've got some Hail Marys yourself to throw this week if you're in the position to do that. If not, start your studs and be the favorite and move on to the next week.
Is there any matchups that you really hate? Is there anything that really just sticks out?
As far as matchups that I hate, well, I want to see in this matchup against Miami and the Jets. Like, okay, Jets feeling themselves a little bit. Miami kind of taking one on the chin. Tyreek Hill a little bit banged up. Does that make Jalen Waddle the number one? Perhaps it could, although Waddle himself is banged up. Yeah. So you look at that situation, you go, okay, I'm not exactly sure what to expect from Miami side. Now, you're still starting your Dolphins. I'm not saying bench your Dolphins, but just know the Jets might sense a little blood in the water. And how about their Super Bowl, because they're not going to go to the Super Bowl, is beating a divisional opponent that was the talk of the talk in week 3 when they beat the Broncos by 50. It's so different for Miami now. Miami is not a threat whatsoever. It means the Jets could get them. And that means you would not be expecting that based on what we saw earlier this year.
Which is also, you want the Jets, if you're a Broncos fan, to beat Miami, correct?
Yeah, I mean, if you're the Broncos, take care of your business. I think there's some games on Saturday that are very important to watch for this team. And one of those is the Minnesota game, because Minnesota could end up overtaking the Lions, as crazy as that sounds. I don't believe in Nick Mullins, although there was a moment, Rachel. My memory is hazy, so I'll have to go back to specifically when it was. There was a moment when this team wanted Nick Mullins, the Broncos did. And there were moves behind the scenes that were setting up to get Nick Mullins. They weren't able to do it, and they were upset about it. Like, the Broncos were upset they didn't get Nick Mullins. That's how bad this quarterback spot has been. So Russell Wilson's corny as a cheese ball. Yeah, he's better than Nick Mullins.
No kidding. Okay. Well, Cecil's Fantasy 5 presented by Hooters. We always appreciate it, getting all of the nice little details that come with that one. Cecil, let's get into it, though. Who are you rolling with come Saturday night? Are you taking the Broncos? Are you taking the Lions? Close game? Big game? What are we thinking?
I don't want an email from corporate, but every time I talk about Jared Goff, I want to just rail on the guy. Like, I do not believe in Jared Goff.
I never know how to feel about him. I just don't. He's one of those names that you throw out there and I'm like, should I like it? Like, is he a good quarterback, or can he just show up in sometimes big moments? Like, I don't know about Jared Goff literally at all. I feel like I'm totally confused on him.
Yeah, off air, I'll tell you my real opinion on Jared Goff. Let's just say it's not kind, okay? So can they get it done against a guy that I don't think can get it done? Yeah, it's going to be difficult, though. I got the Broncos 28. I got the Lions 27. You're going to have to score points. Offense is going to have to show up. I don't want this to be a Will Lutz game. You can't kick field goals when you're in position. Go, fight, win. That's the best point for the Broncos.
All right, I'm saying if the Broncos can produce 2 turnovers, they'll have this one in the bag. Easy. My score prediction, you're going 28-27? Oh, gosh.
They score 31 at home. The Lions score 31 at home.
Dang.
Yeah.
Broncos have to put up some points then. Man, I'm going to go, and everybody let us know in the comments too. Plus, while I think
Price is Right. I'm going higher.
I know. I'm like,
don't
this is so tough. While I think about this, Cecil, tell everybody, subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yes. Yeah. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. We are growing our YouTube channel, and we appreciate the help. And if you've commented in the chat room, this side, whatever side, comment down below. It helps the YouTube algorithm. It puts us in front of more Denver sports fans, and we really appreciate it. That's the best way. Of course, check out denversports.com. We don't have any damn paywall. You can just come read it, everything for free. Love it. Support us, and we appreciate you for doing that.
So many of the best writers too over there at Denver Sports, and then plenty of good video content on our YouTube page as well. I'm going 27-20, the Denver Broncos. Oh, baby. I'm so ready for Saturday night football, you guys. It's going to be so much fun. Hopefully on Monday, we are talking about a Broncos W and them staying in the playoff race. Cecil Lammey, always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you.
Be good.
All right. And to everybody else in the comments, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We will see you guys Monday morning, 10:30 a.m. for another episode of Coffee Break. Bye, everybody.